I had a perception disorder that affected how I saw and felt things. So when I suddenly found myself inside a horror game, everyone else panicked and tried to survive for me. Meanwhile, I honestly thought I'd been dropped into a dating sim. I took a young fae named Lumi under my wing like she was my kid, fell for a mysterious vampire count named Cassian, and treated the undead like they were my future in-laws. The first time I saw Cassian's face looking intense and fierce, I actually blushed and said, "You're really handsome." He froze for a moment, then asked softly, "Am I really?" At some point, I ended up poisoned with wolfsbane beside the person who was supposed to be my destined partner, Saren. When I opened my eyes again, I was in a completely different world. Before I could figure anything out, a strange voice echoed inside my mind, "Welcome to the Dark Citadel. Survive 7 days in the castle to clear the game. There are 30 participants." Then the voice disappeared. We were all standing in a dramatic-looking grand hall, 30 complete strangers. Suddenly someone burst into tears. "This place is so scary. I want to go home." Scary? Could have fooled me. Thanks to my perception disorder, my brain tends to soften harsh reality. The creepier something is, the nicer it appears. So to me, this so-called haunted castle felt more like a cozy Airbnb. Meanwhile, a grumpy knight-looking guy named Bram started swinging at the shadows. "Quit hiding and fight me," he yelled. While most people were still panicking, 2 calm and confident people stepped forward. They introduced themselves as Rhea and Dorian, mages and experienced players who had cleared this game before. They explained the rules. We were inside a horror survival game. Everyone here had already died in real life. The castle had 30 floors, each with its own challenge. The higher you went, the tougher things became. If you cleared all 30 floors and reached the legendary 9,999 points, you'd earn a second chance at life, plus a prize so huge you'd never have to worry about money again. That definitely caught my attention. "So how do we earn points?" I asked. Rhea replied, "It depends on your fear rating. Each stage has a challenge. If you complete it with a fear rating of 99, you earn 1 point. But if you ever hit 100, it's game over." Fear rating measured how scared you were. Experienced players could handle things calmly and keep their fear low. New players needed time to adjust. I thought about it for a moment. This doesn't sound so hard. As long as I keep my fear at 0. The next second, the world went white. A system chime rang in my head. Instance loading. Welcome to sublevel, Crimson Manor. Objective, survive 7 nights or discover the Lord's treasure. Bonus, clearing this instance increases your overall score and unlocks hidden rewards. When my vision returned, it was night. Moonlight poured through a broken roof, pale and cold. I was in a ruined chapel, chained to a stone pillar with cold iron links biting into my waist and wrists. Cobwebs hung in thick curtains, the air smelled of mold and something rotting. I tugged the chains once. They didn't even rattle. Okay. Not a cozy Airbnb. More like abandoned cathedral DLC. Seriously? I muttered. Is this, like, the bondage route? A calm, mechanical voice slid into my mind again. You have been selected as tonight's offering. Good luck. Offering? I echoed. Before I could process that, a man's voice flowed out of the darkness, low and cool. So you're tonight's gift? I jerked my head up. From the shadows at the far end of the chapel, a tall figure stepped into the moonlight. For a heartbeat, all I could do was stare. He was ridiculously good-looking. Silver hair cut in a messy wolf-tail style, tall and broad-shouldered with a narrow waist and that perfect inverted triangle build. His shirt hung open, exposing tight, defined muscles. His skin was a little too pale, with a faint bluish tint that would probably look terrifying to normal people. My brain, however, helpfully airbrushed all the horror away. Wow. Not wow, he might kill me. Just wow. Oh, I heard myself breathe. You're gorgeous. He paused mid-step. His eyes glowed a green somewhere between emerald and phosphorescent moss. They narrowed with predatory coldness as he looked me over, assessing me like prey. How, he asked mildly, do you want to die? His voice was rich and magnetic, slightly rough at the edges. I actually shivered. Not from fear. From sheer appreciation. Somewhere, far away on a screen I couldn't see, a streaming chat exploded. She's flirting? Newbie, This is a horror instance, not a romance sim. She's really that desperate? I didn't know any of that. All I knew was that this was clearly the first capture target. Can I die in your arms of old age? I asked seriously. He blinked, thrown off. What? You asked how I wanted to die. I tilted my head, leaning against the chains as comfortably as I could. I picked the ending where we get married, grow old together, and I die peacefully at 98, surrounded by our emotionally stable wolf baby grandkids. More frantic, invisible chat. Flirty route? Horror boss equips claws, her, husband less than 3. That boss appears once a month. Everyone who enters his range dies. How is she still talking? Leather creaked as the man's fingers flexed. Long nails, no, claws, extended, gleaming in the moonlight. This was where a normal player's fear rating would spike to 90 already. Mine stayed at 0. Because my perception disorder softened all the wrong details. His claws? Not terrifying murder weapons. Just very committed cosplay. His faint aura of blood and decay? A kind of metallic winter cologne. The dead vibe hanging over the chapel? Atmospheric set design. You are not afraid of me? He asked slowly. I smiled, going full send. Afraid of my future husband? Never. His ears turned pink. I swear they did. Just the tips, a soft, embarrassed flush. He stepped closer, the scent of iron and something wild curling around us. Don't call me that, he said, voice low. I'm a monster. Sure, I said. And I'm clinically incapable of seeing scary things as scary. I leaned up as far as the chains would let me. Come closer. He did. And since I had absolutely no sense of self-preservation, I rose on my toes and kissed him. Soft. Cool. A hint of mint and something like snow on his lips. He froze. His pupils shrank. His ears went bright red. His claws, which had been poised near my throat, jerked back like he'd been burned. Outside, the unseen chat exploded again. What is she doing? This is a 100% death boss, not a boyfriend. Is she bugged? Hello? Mods? You, his voice came out hoarse. You dare kiss me? I'm pretty sure you let me, I said. Also, your face really is my type. Whoever designed you deserves a raise. You're insane, he muttered, taking several steps back, one clawed hand flying up to touch his lips like they might fall off. He looked about ready to spontaneously combust from embarrassment. It was adorable. He wasn't the only one here, though. A soft, wet dragging sound whispered through the chapel. A cold breeze slid over my neck, carrying a stronger stench of rot. I turned my head. A corpse was stumbling toward me. Most of its flesh had rotted off. One eyeball hung half out of its skull, swinging on stringy tissue as it stared fixedly in my direction. Chunks of meat dripped from its limbs as it lurched closer, hands outstretched. Horror game. Right. This was the part where normal people screamed. My brain looked at that and, in self-defense, smoothed out every gruesome detail. Instead of a decaying corpse, I saw a very poorly animated Halloween NPC. Droopy effects. Fake slime. Slightly cartoonish movement. Ha, I said. Graphics on that aren't great. The corpse lunged. Something flashed silver. The next instant, its head wasn't attached anymore. It rolled across the floor with a wet thud, jaws snapping mindlessly even as the body twitched and scuttled like a spider, trying to find it. I finally registered the source of the flash. The man's hand had changed. His fingers had lengthened into full wolf claws, bone white and sharp, dripping dark liquid that probably wasn't nail polish. He kicked the zombie's head so hard it flew through the broken window and vanished into the night. Outside, the quiet night woke up. A chorus of scraping, shuffling, and hollow moans rose from beyond the chapel walls. Something scratched at the stone, dragging itself closer. Teeth clicked together in a nauseating rhythm. Crimson Manor, Night 1, March of the Dead. Survivors, 18. The system announcement rang in my head. The man, my maybe wolf boss, maybe husband, turned to me with that cool, indifferent expression back in place. You should run, he said calmly. Now. Run where? I was literally chained up. But I didn't say that. Because somewhere behind the cold tone, I could feel it, worry, tightly smothered. He was trying to warn me. My fear rating flickered. Not from the monsters. From the idea that he might disappear. I looked at his claws again, and instead of danger, I saw Fluffy. Can I touch? I blurted. What? Your wolf form. I pointed at his hand. You look like you can transform. This is clearly your mid-boss reveal scene. Can I see the full version? He stared at me. Then, with the resigned air of someone who'd already lost control of the situation, he sighed. Fine, he muttered. Don't move. His body blurred. Bones cracked, not with the gore splash of a jump scare, but with a strange, smooth inevitability. Fur rippled over his skin, dark silver in the moonlight. His limbs elongated, spine arching. In a few breaths, a massive wolf stood where the man had been, towering, broad, fur thick and wild. His eyes were the same bright green. He was terrifying. Objectively. My brain looked at him and said, Big doggy. Whoa, I whispered, delighted. You're even more handsome like this. His massive ears twitched. I reached up with my chained hands and cupped one of his giant paws when he raised it to slash through a zombie crawling through the window. Soft fur, hard pads, and, yes, deadly claws. I buried my face in his paw like it was a pillow. Soft, I mumbled. My favorite kind of creature feature, paw DLC. He stiffened like I'd stabbed him instead of cuddled him. Dangerous, he rumbled. I could hurt you. It's okay, I said. I like you. The unseen chat lost its collective mind again. Is she petting the boss? This instance has been run 1,000 times. I have never seen this. Her fear rating is stuck at 0. Is this a bug? If she clears like this, the dev's gonna cry. The wolf huffed, claws retracting as much as possible so he wouldn't scratch me. Tonight, he said slowly, I'll let you go. Don't be an offering again. Okay, I lied cheerfully. Because, honestly, 7 nights in a haunted manor with a shy wolf king boss? Why would I not sign up again? The rest of the night blurred into flashes of silver claws, shattering bones, and my running commentary that made absolutely no sense in a horror context. Then, black. When I woke up, sunlight warmed my face. I was sitting against a crumbling stone wall, no chains in sight. The chapel looked less horrifying in daylight and more like a fixer-upper. Something hard and cool dug into my palm. I opened my hand. A small, white bone whistle lay there, carved with tiny runes. Item acquired, bone whistle, unclassified. Blow it once. Something strange may happen. I tucked it into my pocket. Something moved near a broken archway. A tiny, silver-gray pup, no bigger than both my palms pressed together, peeked out from behind a pile of stones. Its fur was fluffy, ears too big for its head, eyes a pale green. Oh my God, I whispered. Baby. I crouched and held out a hand. It hesitated for 1 second, then waddled over and plopped itself into my arms with a little huff, like it had decided I was acceptable. I scratched behind its ears. You're coming with me. Your name is Ash. Or maybe Little Ash. Or Wolf Nugget. We'll workshop it. The pup made a tiny RRF sound and licked my fingers. System chime. Congratulations, you have survived night 1. Did it scare you? Please prepare for tonight's surprise. Daytime is relatively safe. You may explore, search for food, or investigate the manor's secrets. Survivors, 17. 17? I repeated. Wait, wasn't it 30 in the hall? I frowned. Maybe we'd been split into different sub-instances. Or maybe people had already died last night. Either way, my brain supplied 17 players, 4 capture targets. Not enough to go around, obviously. Ash, I told the pup gravely, you better not let other girls romance you, okay? The pup tilting its head, eyes soft. Then it leaned in and licked my wrist again like a promise. I melted. Fine, I said. Even if you do, I'll just fight them in the love triangle route. We followed glowing markers the system projected onto the ground until the path opened into a courtyard with other players milling around. NPCs were easy to spot, their names floated above their heads: farmer, butler, stablehand. Players had proper names hovering above them. And wow, players looked rough. Bandaged arms, ripped clothes, haunted eyes. Tong Yue? Someone blurted, apparently, the system had used my real name. You're still alive? A guy stared at me like I'd come back from the dead. Technically, we all had, but whatever. You were the offering last night, he said. We thought you were done for. Oh, that. I beamed. Thanks, by the way. For. What? For sending me, I said. You all gave up your chance to be first to romance the boss so I could go instead. You're such good people. Silence fell like a dropped anvil. If the chat had been visible above their heads, I'm pretty sure it would have been full of skull emojis. She thinks they gave her the chance to die first? This is the funniest grief processing I've ever seen. Flirty girl is not okay, but I'm invested. A girl with a ponytail and sharp eyes bounced over, curiosity shining in her gaze. Her name hovered above her head, Chinyu. Wow, you're the first offering who came back without a scratch, she said. What did you use? An item? A skill? A charm? I said. Chinyu's eyes narrowed slightly, but she kept smiling. No, really. What did you use? I kissed him, I said honestly. Her smile flattened. So you're strong, she said after a beat, voice light. That's great. Hey, since you survived once, how about being the offering again tonight? Okay, I said automatically. If I kept being the offering, I'd keep meeting bosses. More bosses, more routes. This really was a multi-male hero otome run. I had no idea everyone else heard guaranteed death volunteering instead. Around us, players exchanged looks. Some stepped back. There was a new edge in their eyes when they looked at me, something like fear. Chinyu's smile sharpened. Perfect, she said softly. By afternoon, I'd looted some moldy bread and milk from the pantry, half of which went to little Ash, who slurped it happily. While everyone else plotted in tense little groups, I wandered around, asking NPCs about the manor. It belonged to a king, apparently. The king had a personal staff, a steward, a butler, a night order. And somewhere in his rooms, there were 2 hidden chambers rumored to hold his treasure. But only people with a special exploration card could enter the secret rooms, and the card was random loot. Whoever went in hadn't come out yet. Classic death flag, I told Ash. We'll let other people do that for the bad ending route. As if summoned by my good sense, Chinyu appeared with 2 big guys flanking her. Who was last night's boss? She demanded. Give me the reward and I'll let you go. Want to know? I asked sweetly. Go be the offering. Her lips thinned. Don't think you're special just because you came back once, she snapped. If you won't hand over your loot, I'll send you to a place even worse than being an offering. She flicked something at me, a thin card that slapped against my chest and vanished in a flash of light. Exploration card activated. Transferring. Destination, Golden Ruins. The ground dropped out from under me. I landed hard on stone, caught myself, and looked around. A long, narrow tunnel stretched into the distance, lined with flickering torches that made the shadows pulse. The air smelled of damp earth and something sticky. Secret room puzzle, I muttered. I love these. Ash trembled in my arms, ears flattened. I kissed the top of his little head. It's okay, I promised. I'm an escape room veteran. I walked. The tunnel went on forever. That usually meant a loop. Sure enough, after what felt like 10 minutes, one torch on the wall flickered oddly. Behind it, the wall was just slightly different. I kicked it. Stone crumbled, revealing a door. Gotcha. I waited a second. Nothing leapt out to kill me. I held up my torch and peered inside. The room beyond was dominated by a massive pit, so dark it swallowed the light. If you stepped forward without thinking, you'd fall straight in. At the bottom, something moved. Bones? Nope. Not thinking about that. Lazy map design, I muttered, stepping wide around the edge. Stalactites hung low from the ceiling, occasionally dripping. Liquid. One drop landed on my shoulder. I touched it. Sticky. Warm. Not water. Gross, I said. Gold gleamed among crumbling stone up ahead. Coins. Jewels. Gems half buried in cracked marble. Treasure? I said, brightening. Already? Another drop hit my hand. I wiped it, fingers brushing something slick and rubbery instead of stone. I looked up. A massive, translucent shape clung to the ceiling, a giant, jelly-like creature, all tentacles and shifting internal glow. It looked like an octopus made of clear slime, tentacles dangling down like glass ropes. One of them was wrapped around my wrist. "Oh," I said, face heating. "So this is, what, the tentacle route?" Somewhere, the chat collectively screamed. "No, no, no, not the tentacle boss, she's dead. Gold slime always melts people from the inside. She's blushing." "Why is she blushing?" The tentacle tightened, then slid up my arm with soft suction cup pops that made my skin tingle and my head go fuzzy. "Hey," I said faintly. "I'm already in a committed relationship with a wolf." My thoughts felt slow, wrapped in cotton. More tentacles slid around my ankles and waist, lifting me slightly off the ground, holding me in a warm, wobbling cocoon of slime. "A forced event, huh?" I mumbled. "I don't consent to this kink." Ash snarled. The tiny pup twisted in my grip, bared his little teeth at the giant slime on the ceiling, and let out a ferocious growl that absolutely should not have sounded as threatening as it did. The tentacles hesitated. The pressure around my ribs lessened. Ash growled again, louder, tiny body trembling with fury. The slime slowly, reluctantly, set me back on the ground. One tentacle dipped into the pile of coins, scooped up a handful of gold, and offered it to me like a child sulkingly sharing toys. "Are you bribing me?" I asked. The tentacle waved insistently. Okay. I accepted a few coins. "But I'm not adding you to the romance roster. You're very sweet. Just not my type." The slime shivered, then started enthusiastically shoveling more treasure into its body, absorbing gold and gems until its clear mass glowed golden. "So you're Goldie," I decided. "Adorable, terrifying, and rich. Perfect side character material." Near the back wall, something caught my eye, a leather-bound notebook half buried under rubble. I tugged it free. The pages were covered in messy handwriting. The system helpfully translated a few lines. "The king gained everything. And paid with everything. When the roses bloom under a full moon, the king will come. Sana will take good care of the flowers." I frowned. Sana? There was that name again. As I put the notebook back, a voice murmured behind me, familiar and warm. "Put the journal on the shelf. A door will open." I spun. He stood there, silver hair, green eyes, broad shoulders now wrapped in the knight's coat I definitely remembered picking up earlier in the loot pile. "Why you?" I blurted, then pointed accusingly. "You left without saying goodbye." He looked guilty for a split second. "I'm sorry." "Put the book back. We should go." I did. The old shelf groaned, then sank into the floor. Stone slid aside, revealing a narrow doorway leading upward. Goldie was still stuffing treasure into its body. As it absorbed more gold, its whole mass shone bright, earning the ruins their name. "Don't worry about the dog," my wolf boss said as we stepped through the door, noticing my glance backward. "He's with me." The door closed behind us. When we emerged, we weren't in a dank tunnel anymore. We were in a bedroom. High ceilings, heavy curtains, dusty furniture with faint traces of former grandeur. A cracked, but still imposing, portrait of a man in royal armor hung crooked on the wall. Outside the window, night had fallen again. Crimson Manor, Night 2, Night of Red Roses. Survivors, 13. Strange roses are blooming tonight. Is it a romantic invitation? Or a warning of death? Rose vines writhed up the outer walls, studded with thorns like teeth. I watched, wide-eyed, as one vine lashed across a neighboring building, glass shattering as people screamed inside. The scent hit a second later, sweet, heavy, intoxicating. I bit my tongue to stay clear-headed. "Ash," I said quickly. "Don't breathe too deeply. The scent is wrong." He yanked the curtains shut, blocking the view and the smell. "This game has no chill," I muttered. "Where's the cute cafe date route?" "There never was one," he said quietly. I turned to look at him. "Who are you really?" I asked. "You act like a boss, but the system calls you the king in the notes. Are you the manor's owner? The lord of the citadel or whatever?" He hesitated. "Does it matter?" he asked. "I can take you somewhere safe." "Safe sounds nice," I said. "But if you wanted to kill me, you could have done it, like, 20 times already. So yeah. I want to know." He held my gaze, green eyes unreadable, then finally exhaled. "I'm Ash," he said. "Or I was, once. The king of this place. My heart did something stupid. Of course. Of course my husband Rout was the cursed king boss of a horror dungeon. Okay, I said, stepping closer. Your Majesty. Take me to your castle. His mouth twitched. You are not surprised? I met you chained up and you were hot, I said. Everything else is just DLC. He shook his head in disbelief, then turned toward the door. Come, he said. But when we get there, don't touch the flowers. And don't say Santa's name unless you mean it. Sana, I repeated. She's the gardener? Your steward? Your secret wife? His expression pinched. She takes care of the roses. That's all. Jealousy pricked, quick and stupid. Fine, I said. I won't steal your flower lady. He stopped. Looked back at me. His eyes softened. She's not my anything, he said. You are the only one who calls me husband. I absolutely malfunctioned for 3 seconds. Okay, I croaked. Let's go before I ascend from embarrassment. He laughed quietly. Then he shifted. Fur rippled over his skin, limbs lengthened, and in breaths he was a massive wolf again. He nudged me with his head. On, he said. Say that again, I blurted. He gave me a look. I scrambled onto his back. We burst out into the night. Rosevine snapped and hissed as he leapt from rooftop to rooftop, paws hitting stone in silent thuds. Lights glimmered below, a little town nestled at the edge of the manor's domain, houses huddled together like they were afraid of the dark. It should have looked eerie. To me, it looked cozy. Like a little fairy tale village, candles glowing in windows, smoke curling from chimneys. We landed on the roof of a grander building at the far end, a castle rising from the cliff edge, its towers stretching toward the moon. The doors opened by themselves as we approached. Welcome home, Your Majesty, a woman's voice said gently. I slid off Ash's back and turned. She was beautiful in a way that didn't quite look human. Golden hair fell in soft waves, skin pale as porcelain, eyes the clear blue of a summer lake. Her dress was simple but immaculate, smelling faintly of roses and something sharper. You must be Sana, I said. She smiled. And you must be our guest. Don't call her guest, Ash said. She'll think she's allowed to leave. I shot him a look. Excuse me? Sana's gaze flicked between us, something warm and amused in her eyes. Come, she said. You probably want a bath. And something that isn't moldy bread. I did. She led me through corridors draped with old tapestries, past windows where rose vines pressed quietly against the glass like sleeping snakes. At one point, her hand brushed a blossom and its petals shivered, more alive than any plant should be. The villagers think this place is cursed, I said, towel wrapped around me as she set a clean dress on the bed later. They act like you're monsters. Do we look like monsters to you? She asked mildly. I thought about Ash's wolf form, Goldie's tentacles, the zombies, the roses trying to eat people. No, I said firmly. Monsters don't give me cookies and hot baths. She laughed, soft and distant, as if from far away. Later, when Ash came to my room, I shoved a plate of cookies into his hands. Sana said you like sweets, I said. So I made these. With her supervision. So you don't die. He took a bite. His eyes lit just a little. This is good, he said, sounding surprised. I should reward you. Okay, I said, stepping in and wrapping my arms around his neck. I want this. I kissed him. This time, he kissed back. His hands came up carefully, one cradling the back of my head like I might break. His lips were soft and cool, and when his tongue brushed mine, my knees almost gave out. We broke apart when someone politely cleared their throat. A tall figure lounged in the doorway, golden hair tied back, blue eyes full of amused mischief. He wore an old-fashioned noble's coat, cuffs immaculate despite the faint smear of dried blood on the white shirt beneath. Am I interrupting? He asked, voice velvet smooth. Ash's arm tightened around me. Durant, he said flatly. Ah. Vampire Rout? Beautiful lady, Durant said, bowing with a flourish. I'm delighted to finally meet you properly. I'm Durant, captain of the Night Order and occasional terrifying boss of the Red Chapel. I glanced at Ash. Is he the one who strings people up like decorations? Durant smiled, fangs flashing. Only the ones who come as offerings. It passes the time. Behind him, in my mind's eye, I could still see Chinyu dangling unconscious in the chapel, blood dripping onto the stone. Pass, I said. I'm a wolf girl. Durant put a dramatic hand to his chest. Heartbroken. She prefers not to be killed, Ash said dryly. Durant rolled his eyes, but the joking air faded when he turned serious. Goldie is sulking because you rejected it, he said. Sana says the villagers are talking about burning the witch again. And? He and Ash exchanged a glance, some silent conversation in the space of a heartbeat. And? I prompted. Some of the players found something they shouldn't have, Durant said. You'll see soon enough. For now, Your Majesty, maybe skip tonight's offering. Ash's jaw flexed. I'm not going to touch her. I know that, Durant said. The problem is, the system doesn't. The days blurred. I explored the town. I browsed a library full of blank books. I noticed something eerie, there were only old people. No children. No young adults. Just wrinkled faces moving through the routines of daily life with hollow, worn-out eyes. When I tried to buy milk one morning, the shopkeeper recoiled the second he saw the pup in my arms. Get away from here, the old man snapped. We don't serve monsters. Monsters? I looked down at little Ash. He's literally shaped like a plushie. He'll destroy this place, the man insisted. They said he killed our king. We saw the wolf on his grave. My heart stuttered. They thought the wolf killed their king. They didn't know the wolf was their king. Something cold uncurled in my chest. Later, I found a graveyard at the edge of town, row upon row of tombstones, names of knights and commoners etched into the stone. At the far end, a single massive black marble monument loomed. Our King Ashen, here he lies in shame. In front of it, a bronze statue of a wolf, impaled through the heart, cast in a posture of defeat. My hands shook as I brushed moss from the letters. In the distance, an explosion shook the air. I spun, dress whipping around my ankles. Smoke curled up from the direction of the village square. System chime. Hidden objective triggered. 2 players have discovered the secret of the manor. Remaining time, 60 minutes. Survivors, 3. 3? Of course, I muttered. Of course the 2 idiots who love blowing things up made it to the end. People were screaming. The witch, someone yelled. She's protecting the monsters. Burn the roses. Destroy the treasure. That's the only way we'll be free. I ran. The town was chaos. Fire licked up rose-covered walls. Villagers hurled stones and bottles, trampling each other in their rush to flee the things they'd themselves provoked. Sana stood in the middle of it all, roses writhed around her like a living shield. Her dress was scorched, skin blistered and blackened where fire had hit. Still, she held her hands up, vines twisting to absorb another explosion, drawing the deadly force away from the houses into the gardens instead. Durant was a blur of motion, dragging unconscious bodies out of collapsing buildings, cursing under his breath as villagers threw more stones at him. Ash, in wolf form, slammed into a smoking crater and tore something apart, one of the surviving players, half mad with panic, clutching a bomb jerry-rigged artifact. Why don't you explain? I shouted when I reached him, grabbing handfuls of his fur. Tell them the truth. That you've been protecting them. He lowered his head so his eyes were level with mine. If we told them, he said quietly in my mind, would they listen? Or would they just die more stubbornly? I bit my lip. Up close, I could see it now, how tired he was. How old? Power thrummed under his skin, heavy and unnatural, the kind that came from a deal with something far above any game. The treasure they want, he said, is the core of this world. If they break it, everything resets. Every time. No matter how much we try to fix it from inside, the main system drags us back into loops. To entertain outsiders. To test players. It doesn't care about us. My throat tightened. Then why help me? I whispered. If one player clears the instance, one boss gets erased. That's what the rumors said. You die. He was silent for a long moment. Then he pressed his forehead to mine, huge wolf head heavy and warm. Because, he said, you're my god. I choked. That's backwards. Before the game, he said, before everything, you wrote a story. A childish tale, about a fallen kingdom and a prince who asked a witch to turn him into a dog so he could take revenge. In that story, A girl loved him and turned him back with a kiss. The main system scanned this world, found a matching narrative pattern, and used your story to graft a role onto me. Gave me power. Gave me a fate. Gave us all these forms. Gave me you. Images flickered across my vision, like half-remembered dreams. A little me, hunched over a notebook, drawing a wolf with a crown. Scribbling about curses and revenge and love. It called you my god, Ash said softly. In that moment, I believed it. Tears stung my eyes. That's why you never let me love you properly, I whispered. If I cleared the game, you'd be erased. He laughed, low and sad in my mind. I'm selfish, he said. I wanted you to stay. Sana suggested turning you into one of the undead, let you walk these streets forever. But this world is broken. It doesn't deserve you. So I decided I'd take the hit instead. Durant shouted something behind us. Sana collapsed to one knee, breath rattling. The last two players, bound in vines, screamed and cursed, promising they'd come back, that they'd find the treasure, that they'd break everything. Villagers, soot-streaked and furious, raised their makeshift weapons. Leave. They screamed at us. Monsters. Traitors. Witches. Get out of our town. An egg hit Durant squarely in the forehead. Yolk dripped down his face. He sighed and wiped it away with 2 fingers, expression unreadable. Compared to being buried alive in a coffin for 100 years, he muttered, this is almost charming. Let's go, Ash said. He lowered himself. I climbed on his back, clutching my bone whistle, my rose, my stupid, aching heart. We ran. Back to the manor. Back to the chapel where it had all started. Back to the place where everything had already ended once before. The system voice chimed. Instance clear condition achieved. 1 player will be returned to life. The associated boss will be erased. Countdown 10. 9. 8. No, I said. No, I don't want that. Ash, there has to be a way. He turned his massive head and nudged my forehead again, green eyes soft. You already gave me everything, he said. You remembered me. You loved me, even if you thought it was just a dating sim route. That's enough. Tears spilled over. I'll come back, I said desperately. I'll find another link, another instance. You won't, he said gently. The system will close the crack you fell through. It only let you in by mistake. He lowered himself so I slid off his back. I grabbed his fur like I could physically hold him here. Don't go, I begged. Please, Ash. Don't. He shifted, fur rippling into skin, wolf shrinking into man. Silver hair, green eyes, tired smile. He cupped my face in both hands. My God, he whispered. Thank you for letting me love you. Time shrank, coiling tighter. I love you, I said, voice cracking. Really? Not as a joke. Not because it seemed like a free romance. I love you. Something bright flickered behind his eyes, hope, raw and startled. Too late, he said, voice shaking. But thank you. I didn't let him finish. I kissed him like I could staple him to reality. The world burst apart. When I opened my eyes, I was on my bed in my real-world apartment, phone buzzing beside me, heart still racing. A notification lit the screen. Hey, you try that new romance sim I sent? It's super spicy lol, all vampires and fey princes. Bestie, I sat up so fast I nearly gave myself whiplash. Romance sim. Not horror game. Not Dark Citadel. Not Crimson Manor. I scrambled to open the link she'd sent. A cute, pastel app store page popped up. Bubbly lettering. Cartoon boys. This was definitely not where I'd been. My throat closed. I typed Crimson Manor Infinite Horror Game Boss Wolf King into the search bar. A handful of sketchy forum posts came up, half-deleted threads, screenshots with blurred figures, rumors about people getting pulled into the game and never waking up. In some of them, I recognized the chapel. The roses. The town. One line stood out: if any player actually clears Crimson Manor, one of the 4 bosses will be obliterated from the code. That's why they always go all out to kill you first. 1 of 4. Ash. Durant. Sana. Goldie. If I cleared the game. My hands shook. The items on my blanket felt suddenly heavy. A single, blood-red rose, still fresh, lying where my pocket should have been. A little heap of unfamiliar gold coins and gemstones glinting softly. A silver necklace with a tiny dagger charm, Duran's protective talisman against nightmares. And in the middle of my palm, white and small and impossible, the bone whistle. I stared at it. Blow once. Something strange may happen. My heart pounded. It won't work, I told myself. That's not how this. I put it to my lips and blew. No sound came out. Of course. I laughed, choked and shaky. What was I expecting? I muttered. That my undead werewolf husband would just. The world tilted. Sleep crashed over me, abrupt and irresistible. The last thing I felt was something gently tugging the blanket up over my shoulders. When I woke again, sunlight poured through the curtains. Something warm and soft pressed against my arm. I blinked down. A small, silver-gray pup was curled against me, tail flicking lazily. In its mouth was a familiar plush toy, an octopus with slightly wonky eyes. Ash? I whispered. The pup huffed without opening its eyes and tucked itself closer. My heart squeezed. I scooped it up and hugged it. You're real, I breathed. You're actually. I got up, stumbling toward the bathroom, needing water, a mirror, anything to ground myself. I peeled off my sleep shirt. And froze. There was a man in the mirror. Silver hair. Green eyes. Wearing my t-shirt, looking just as stunned as I felt. ASH. I shrieked, grabbing the nearest thing, a pillow, and hurling it at the reflection. The pillow bounced off him instead, because he was not a reflection. He stood in my bedroom doorway, hands half raised, face flaming scarlet. I didn't mean to, he stammered. I was hungry, and the wolf formed safer, and then you started undressing and You teleported into my bedroom, I yelled, clutching my shirt to my chest. While I was changing. To be fair, he said weakly, you summoned me. I stopped. Summoned you? The bone whistle, he said, still resolutely staring at the ceiling. The main system rewound my world instead of deleting it when you cleared the instance. We won the war ourselves. I abdicated. And then the whistle moved. It pulled me here. To you. My anger evaporated, leaving only a mess of relief and joy and something bright and wild that felt a lot like hope. You came all this way without a tutorial, I said. No wonder you glitched into the wrong moment. He dared to glance at me. I yanked my shirt back on. Barely. It was backwards, but I didn't care. His eyes softened. You're really here, I said. In my world. He nodded, stepping closer cautiously, like I might vanish. Still want to marry a monster? He asked quietly. It's not a game anymore. I walked straight into his arms. I don't care if you're a wolf, a boss, a bug, or a stray dog, I said, voice muffled against his chest. I'm keeping you. His arms wrapped around me, strong and familiar and real. Something small bumped against our ankles. We looked down. The pup, little Ash, or maybe the part of him that was still tied to that other world, had toddled over, octopus plush dangling from its mouth like an offering. Oh my God, I whispered, scooping them both up, human and wolf and toy. Fine. I'll just raise all of you. Ash laughed, low and stunned and so happy. Then, he murmured, pressing his forehead to mine, I'll spend the rest of this life trying not to scare you. Too late, I said, grinning through tears. You already scared me half to death. His face fell. With how hard I fell for you, I added. He groaned, dropped his head onto my shoulder, and held me tighter. I love you, he said. I know, I said, kissing the corner of his mouth. Now help me explain to my best friend why my dating sim crashed and I came back with a boyfriend, a wolf, and a haunted octopus toy. Will she believe you? He asked. I thought of the rose, the necklace, the way my heart had ached when I thought he was gone forever. She doesn't have to, I said. I know you're real. That's enough. Ash smiled. In some dark, distant server, the Crimson Manor instance flagged itself as corrupted. Logs filled with question marks where fear values should have been. The main system considered this, then quietly set a new tag on the world. Exception, cleared by Zero Fear route. Outcome, King transported. Status, happily ever after, ongoing. I didn't know any of that. All I knew was that my horror game had turned out to be a love story. And this time, I wasn't about to log out.